In this lesson, we'll be talking about the transformation called a reflection. A transformation is when we take a figure, which we call a pre-image, and we do something to either move it or turn it or change it so that every point in the original goes to some point on the image. Sometimes we will keep the same size with those, like this man is the same size, same shape, and so an isometry would be any transformation that gives us a congruent image to the pre-image. Sometimes we'll change the size, and if we keep all the angles the same, it can be a similarity transformation as long as we have a similar figure. Now, reflections are things that we can see rather regularly in nature where we're flipping the thing over. It also is something that can come up in more practical problems like a game of pool. If you aim up for the wall, we need to know the exact spot to hit the ball so that it'll bounce off and go to the hole. One trick that we can use is if we take the target here, or the goal that we're aiming for, and we flip it over the wall that we're going to bounce it on and reflect it. If we think about where that reflection is, up here, I would aim my ball instead for that reflection, and if it works perfectly, then it should bounce off at the same angle that it hits, causing it to go into the hole if we aim for the reflection. Same thing can be true in miniature golf. Here's this hole, here's the wall. So if he aims for a hole that's a reflection over this wall over here, it should bounce off the wall and go into the hole. So a reflection is when we're bouncing over a line, we're reflecting over a line, and it's going to always happen by being the same distance on either side of the line. And if you connect those 2 points, it would also be perpendicular over that line. If we're on the line like this point E, it's not going to go anywhere. But we have 2 things here. We're the same distance and we're perpendicular to the line of reflection. And so if we're going to do this by hand, we might get out a ruler. If this is my line of reflection, I want my ruler to be perpendicular to that. I would measure my distance from that line. I might start by drawing the line connecting, going across there. I might go a little further. And looking at those, if I measure exactly where it is and then I double that length using my ruler, then I should be able to find where that reflection will take me. And I'll finish that by connecting my dots and labeling my image with A prime, C prime, and B prime. If the original figure is passing over the line, then our reflection is going to also bounce over the line. Notice that K now is going to go above the line, where H and J are going to be going below the line. So that if I connect the dots here, it's going to flip HJK over, and those figures will be overlapping. Looking at this in Sketchpad, there's a couple of ways that we can do the reflection. The most basic way is just the way we did. We treat this as the line of reflection. By double-clicking it, we're marking it as our mirror. We can also select it, go to transform, and mark the mirror. We'll see a little flash when it does that. We then choose everything we want to reflect. We go to transform and reflect, and we're done. We can also label the points, and notice it will give us the prime notation that we want. And notice as we move the figure, it will move with us, and our figure is always going to be flipped over. The other way that we can do this is by basing it off of the idea that everything is a perpendicular bisector. So if I highlight my points and my line, if I make the perpendicular lines to this, then my point B is going to be on the same line, C will be on the same line, and A will be on the same line. What I need to find is the exact points so that they're the same distance. I'm going to do that by using circles. So with C on this line, I'll draw a circle to C, and that means C will be at this intersection. On this line, I'll go over to B, which means that B prime will be at this intersection. And for A, I want to be on the same line, and I go over to A, giving me my intersections, A, and so I'll connect my dots to get my reflection. Notice now how moving that original figure will also change my pre-image. I can also move my original line to see the reflection. And so if we want to find the line of reflection, we can also use the perpendicular bisectors to do that. If I just take any one of these lines and make a perpendicular bisector, then that's going to be my line of reflection. Notice that would be in the middle, and the perpendicular bisector for each one of those. I could just measure that with my ruler. If we're doing this in the coordinate plane, it might be fairly simple like this one, where just reflection in the x-axis. So if I look at my x-axis and I want to reflect, I notice this point M is 2 units above the axis, and so I would go down 2 units below the axis for M prime. N is up 1, 2, 3, 4, so I go up 1, 2, 3, 4 more. And K, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 for K prime. And then again, I can connect the dots.